What's up, y'all? Hold on. What up, y'all? I am back for another video. We are here to continue with the second, in my opinion, the final. I know what you did last summer. I know there was a third film that came out, but it was not. I don't count it as canon, considering, and I think most people who like the first two, or even just like the first one, are okay with the second, don't count it because Jennifer doesn't come back, and it really just they take the story kind of and they just use new characters. So that is why I don't really count it, um, because it it really was just like so. I am only doing those first two, and the second one, I still know what you did last summer. I really enjoyed it. Rewatching it, I liked it the first time, and I understand it gets kind of shit on, because it's kind of seen as they it didn't need to continue. I've heard some people say they could should have left it as one, and I think this one does an okay job as a sequel. I like Julie James. I'm gonna be honest. I like her a lot more in this movie than I did the first one, because I felt like in the first one she just kind of ran away a lot, and I just made, and it was also could be that Sarah Michelle Gellar was kind of a more compelling character, so she's not in this one. I think there is some negatives. Like, I don't like Brandy. I'm sorry. I like Brandy and other stuff, but she just does not fit this movie. She feels like, I'm gonna be honest, she feels like she should be in a different fucking movie. Every time I see her on screen, I just, and I get it. They needed you needed a black person in it, and that's fine. But you could have got a different actress. Like, she just did not work for me in this. She just feel like she just did not belong, and she was kind of a name actress at the time because she had the show at the time. So I think that's why, and I think she was a singer also. So this was at that time you had to have singers and like musicians in your movies. So that's probably why, but it just she did not work for me in this movie. The other negative was the black dude. Fucking her boyfriend. Trying to look for this guy's name. Tyrell. He was annoying. He was just I'm an asshole and I'm not gonna believe anything Julie says. Even gets to a point. I'll get to that later, but it's annoying. But I think the kills are a lot better in this one. They're more violent. They've got a bit more creative, especially Jack Black's kill. Man, his was pretty brutal to be honest. So but I overall enjoyed this movie. I had fun. If you want to kill an hour and a half, I think you can watch the first one and this one back to back, and they work. Like, I think the first one goes. This one is a perfect follow up to the first one. You can watch the first one and then watch this one back to back, because the way the first one ends kind of sets this one up. So, um, but here we go. I'm gonna cheers and then we'll. So this one starts. We get like a dream scene where Julie is in like a church, and she's going to like um to do where she wants to admit her wrongs to the priest. And she talks about what happened pretty much in the first movie. Then it's revealed that the pastor already knows because it's Ben Willis and attacks her, but it's a dream scene. Then she wakes up. She's like now in college. Um, she's still so I think the continuity is a bit weird because yeah, she's dating Ray, but she's living with her friend Kia. I think that's what the Carla. Sorry, Carla, which is Brandy's character, and we see her Ray visit her, but she doesn't want. He asked her like, "Can you come back down to Southport?" I think is what the town was in the first one, and she doesn't want to. It's understandable because it's like there's still a year, and she just had like she's been having bad nightmares. So I do like that passage of time. So yeah, so the I did skip one thing. So Ben Willis attacks and it's a dream, and she's in school. So yeah, and then she's seeing this guy Willis, kind of hitting on her. Um, Ray, after they kind of have a fight, he walks off. Then she goes back in her room, falls asleep, and then this is where we meet Carla for the first time. They go to a club where, because Carla is like that extrovert type character that wants Julie to get out of her. Like she's kind of like basically the character somewhat similar. It's Hallie from Scream 2, where like Sydney, is still kind of affected, or that happened in the first movie. So she's that character. She's like, oh, Sid, you got to do stuff. So she's kind of the same thing in this. I just think you know what it is. It's like Jerry O'Connell from Scream 2, where I did this when I reviewed Scream 2. I mentioned that I felt like Jerry O'Connell did not belong, and I feel like it's the same thing here. I just don't think she fits. She feels like I'm watching another movie when she's on screen. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like she should have got a different actress, but I understand. I get what, because at this time, this is when studios were just making dumb decisions. Like Brandy was, she had the show. I think she was making music at the time, like I mentioned, so they had to. She was a big name, so we gotta have. It was probably like fucking. They felt, we gotta have that quote unquote urban element, which is basically the black element, and I think that's what they were going for. But if okay, fine, I'm not saying like you can have a black woman, but get a different actress. Like even like the girl in the first one, you see it for like 2 seconds, but even an actress like that would have worked. I just don't think Brandy fits. But anyway, she takes Julie out. She basically forces Julie to go out with her and Tyrell at a club, but she's like seeing Ben Willis everywhere, so she goes home. Then the next day, Carla calls into because this radio station is doing um this basically, this is when like radio stations would do like, you gotta guess this thing, you get like a free ticket to I think it was that same night. So Julie, not Julie, Carla, um so they win a trip to the Bahamas. All the question is, oh, what's the capital of Brazil? She says Rio de Janeiro, which it's not, and I'll get to that later. Then she calls Ray and asks him if she wants to come. He tries to say, I don't know if I can, but then he decides to go that night. And then we get like a cool, not a cool scene, as much as I don't like Freddie Bitch Jr. They're listening to Here I Go Again with by Def Leppard. I could always listen to that. I don't mind. Anytime you play that song, I'll fucking listen to it. Which, that'll be a band I love at some point too. But they notice, they see a guy like passed out, but in like a slicker. He walks up to it, but it's a mannequin. Then Ben Willis shows up, which I like the content. I think this one is a perfect sequel because they do continue. Like the first one shows, like in the end of the first one, his hand gets chopped off. So they don't show it fully, but you could tell he basically made the hook his hand at this point. Like his hook, I like that. He kills Ray's friend, and then I think runs over Ray, or Ray gets injured. Or no, Ray escapes, but then he falls down a hill getting injured, and then goes to the hospital. Then the next day, the group are getting ready to go for the trip, and Julie's clearly is still kind of physically uncomfortable, but she still decides to go. And then they get there. Um, they arrive at the hotel and check in. This is where they meet Weirdo. Not Weirdo, but Estes, played by Bill Coates, who I've seen in like several movies. He's like the weird voodoo kind of guy. He's like the red herring. I do think they try to continue like the red herring thing. So they get there that night. The couples do their thing, and Julie sings like does karaoke, but then the karaoke the words come out. I still know what you did last summer. Then she runs off. They all separate kind of for a bit, and then Jack Black, who you kind of see throughout the film, that he's like the stoner. He's not part of the main group, but you do see him on the island. He's like one of the group of characters you see on. I'll admit, character wise, this one's pretty weak. Like I think the first one had way better characters, and I mean I think the first one's objectively a better movie, but it's also better characters. This one, besides Julie, to be honest, and I don't even like Ray because I don't like Freddie Bitch Jr. I don't know. I don't think there's really any. I'll admit, character wise, this one's pretty weak. Minus Julie. So, a guy who works at the, he was like trying to tie up one of the boats, gets killed by Ben Willis. So he arrives. Then, after, so yeah, Doc Hand gets killed by Ben Willis, and I think it jumps to the next. No, Ben Willis then kills like a maid who you saw earlier in the film, and then like the next day, um, uh, no, that night Julie freaks out, and like, this is when everyone starts to be skeptical of her, and then it goes into the next day, and Tyrell and will go off and do their thing, and then while the girls go into the gym. And I'm sorry, Tyrell is a douchebag, and I get that's what they were going for because maybe he was supposed to be like the Ryan. You know what it is? I think they were trying to carry the archetypes from the previous film, like Brandy. I mean, not fully, but she's kind of the Helen character. Not fully, but like she's like the somewhat popular girl. You have Tyrell, who's like the hothead. But the thing is, Ryan Philly pulled it off way better. I just felt like Tyrell was just annoying as fuck. I just every time he just like, and there are points. I guess I'll jump ahead a bit where like after like they start discovering bodies and shit, and I'll admit there's a scene where you do see where I'll jump ahead. Like I said, um, Julie and while Carla is training like on a heavy bag. Julie goes in like a tanning bed, but Carla discovers the body of the maid and gets locked in a room and starts screaming, while Ben locks Julie in the tanning bed, basically trying to kill her. But they find her, and I'm not gonna lie, it is kind of and I'm always there to see Jennifer Love Hewitt in the bikini. Always there for that. And then Julie starts like realizing what happens, then kind of tells the group what actually happened, that she left from Carla that they never found the body of Ben Willis. And she's saying it's Ben who's doing this, while Will and fucking Tyrell think it's Estes, who's like the weird voodoo worker guy. My main thing with Tyre, he's just at this point. Why wouldn't you listen to Julie? You started noticing bodies. Jack Black's kill is pretty brutal. That's probably my favorite kill of the movie. Like, he gets like his hand hooked, and then like gets stabbed with like garden shears in the chest. It's pretty brutal. Like, I think like that's one thing this film has way over the first one is the kill. I think I mentioned yesterday. I think the kills in the first one are kind of weak. I think the kills in this one are actually really good. So the group decide they're gonna look for Estes and go try to find the radio, but the radio is destroyed, and they find the hotel manager guy killed with the machete in his. I would have actually liked to see that one. I'll admit, Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character is useless in this movie. He's just doing it. He's just basically his character arc is he buys a gun. He gets attacked by Ben first, buys a gun, and then has to get to the island. That's all he fucking does. He doesn't have any act like. I didn't care for him in the first one either, but at least he had kind of a character in that. In this, he's just there. I honestly would have just cut him out. I would have just cut him out. I would have just explained that he was off somewhere, and then that's it. And honestly, just have Julie have no boyfriend this film because he's useless. He's just there to save her in the end. Really, that's it. So they find Estes' secret hideout, the group, and they find their missing belongings, and they start more and more thinking it's him. And then Estes reveals himself, and then this is where it's revealed that Ben actually worked at the hospital, or not the hospital, he worked at the hotel, and this is where it's revealed that the answer to that Rio de Janeiro is not the capital of Brazil. So that's where that whole thing is revealed. That this was all a setup to get them there at that time. Anyway, hold on, there's power going. Yeah. Sorry about that. So they go with Coat. They go with I keep saying Coates because that's the actor's name, Billy Coat or Bill Coat. Bill Cobb. Sorry, I've been fucking up his name this whole time. I have seen him in other movies. I think he's a great actor. I think he's decent in this. He plays like that weird voodoo character. And he's the red herring. They want to make you think he's the killer and that, oh, is he working with Ben Willis? So he explains that Ben worked at the hotel and that. And then this is where it's revealed he had a son, which I'm going to get to more later. So they find the grave, and one of the graves is Julie James, and the date, which is July 4th, 1998. And then you kind of get a similar scene like in the first movie. What are you waiting for? And then this is where Estes kind of disappears, and Will says, "I'll go look for him," while the group goes off back to the hotel. Will confronts Estes, who has a boat, and Estes says, "You're not They try to make it seem like Estes is the killer, basically, or not the killer, but he's working with the killer, because there's a scene where he attacks Will, and while Carla, Julie, and Tyrell go back, and then they meet with this bartender chick you see throughout the film. The reason I didn't really mention her, because she's just kind of there. There's a lot of characters that are just kind of there. So it's not good in that sense, but I had fun with it. I think it's paced perfectly. I like the rainy Bahamas island. I actually think it's pretty creepy. So they get back, they go to the kitchen, but Ben kills Tyrell. His kill is pretty brutal. He gets he's eating something. I don't see no killer, and then Ben shows up and hooks him right in the throat. It's pretty brutal. I'm not gonna lie. Then Ben chases Julie, Carla, and the bartender chick into the attic. They manage to make their escape. You get a fake out scene where Carla gets her foot stuck in the floor. Oh, is she gonna escape? They escape. They manage to make it back to the hotel, and they run into Will. And they notice Will is bleeding from the stomach, and he says Estes attacked him. So Carla and Carla, I guess Nancy, which is the bartender chick, run off, and then this is where it's revealed that because Julie's like investigating, there's no wound, and Will says it's not my blood. He grabs her, and then they walk out while Nancy and Carla are running. They run into Ben, who had just killed Estes, who has like this. He's impaled with like some kind of sharp object. Then Estes falls on Nancy, and basically Ben. This kill's pretty brutal. He uses the thing and impales both of them while he chases Carla. And then this is where we also get the reveal that Will was the one who did the call, and that this is where it's revealed that he's Ben Willis's son. This whole thing was convoluted. I did not like this. I think the film was really fine up until this point. It was very. It just seemed like they needed like a Scream like reveal, and it was fine in the first one. You didn't need to do it in this one. There was no reason. You already had the history between Ben Willis and Julie. I think that was enough. You didn't need to add some random son character. Oh, he's his son. All of like what? That's convoluted, bruh. Like no, no. There was no son fucking mention in the first film, and I get it. You can argue, there's just more lore they added, but it was convoluted. No. So he takes Julie to the grave, while I think Carla ends up getting hurt. Um, like seemingly like she died, but she's not. Then he brings her to her. Will brings her to his father, and then we get like the final act. Then Ray shows up, but the gun for some reason doesn't work. Convenient. I'll get to that more later. Will fights with Ray while um, Ben chases Julie. Seemingly, Will has the advantage. Will grabs Ray while because Ben says hold him. Ray moves out the way and Ben kills his son. And Ben's about to kill Ray, and Julie has the gun, and it somehow now works. They don't even really explain. Like at least they could have showed. Oh, the gun was like in Scream. They showed you like when Gail had the gun. Oh, the gun was jammed. Why didn't they do like not jammed? It had like the protect the safety on. Why didn't they just do that? It just was weird. It conveniently didn't work, but because the plot has to happen now. Oh, it works now. So she shoots him, but clearly doesn't kill him. I don't know if maybe this. I don't know. The Coast Guard show up, pick up Ray and Julie, and everything seems fine. And Ben pulls her under. Like they basically set up a sequel that really never happened because I'm not reviewing that shitty third one. That wasn't even count. That was I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. I think it's a fine film until that last act is no. It's not bad and it's not the worst final act ever, but my god, it's so convoluted and I think it's also just kind of weak. Like the first one is you have a final act on a boat, on a moving boat, and this one is just at a rainy grave. And it's not even that long. Like it goes pretty quick. Like she brings Julie to him. He brings Julie to him. And then Ray shows up. They fight. Ray moves out the way. Will gets killed. Ben gets shot. It's like at best like maybe 5-6 minutes, maybe. It just was not executed well. The whole reveal with Ben Will should have just been a random character. You could have even named him Will. Just change his last name. Because he's conveniently his son. Like, come on, man. It was stupid. They felt like they needed to do another Scream like reveal. It's like no, you didn't need to go that route. I think it works better that you already had the history between Ben and Sarah, and not Sarah, Ben and Julie, Ben and Julie. You already have the history between Ben and Julie. You didn't have to go that route. It just didn't work. I didn't like Brandy, so those are like my two big negatives. Was Brandy, I just didn't think worked. I felt like she should have been in like another movie. This felt like another movie whenever she's on screen. Tyrell's annoying. Like a lot of side characters just don't matter. Unlike the first one, where you liked every character. This time around, you only really care about Julie. But besides that, I think it's a solid, popcorn slasher. You have some solid kills. Actually, the kills wise is way better. Like I mentioned, it's way better in this one. You actually got some creative kills, and they actually showed a bit of gore. It wasn't just he hooked somebody and then they like cut it. They actually show him doing something, and I actually like the effect that the hook is his hand. There's no hand holding the hook this time around. It's actually just the hook, and no, it's a lot better aesthetically. I like the rainy, tropical island. I think that was an interesting take. Like, I think there's things to like about this movie. I like Julie James' kind of arc in this. I think she's more assertive too. She doesn't just feel like in the first one, and I get why they were doing it, but she just kind of was just there for me. I actually like that in this one. She actually does stuff. I just don't like the whole reveal of the son. It's convoluted. It's like the trope of this random family member that you never fucking knew existed but is just there. No, you didn't need to do that. It just felt tacked on. But other than that, I genuinely enjoy this. I would recommend it. You can watch the first one and you can watch this one. I think the first one goes into the second one perfectly. So if I were to give this one out of 10, I gave the first one like an 8, about an 8 to 8.5. I'd give this one like a 7. It's a solid slasher. I just think the final act gets a bit muddy, but it's a solid slasher for what it is, and it's a decent like duo. Like if you want to, like, you can watch. I know, and I still know what you did last summer back to back. It works. So, but other than that, if I don't do my DC video on Sunday, I'll definitely try to do that because Warner Brothers are really fucking up. If I don't do it, I'll do it next week, and Monday will be. If I don't do that video Sunday, Monday definitely, I will be reviewing Police Story. So I cannot wait to do that. But yeah, cheers. As usual, fuck Warner Brothers, fuck Disney, fuck LaBitch James, fuck Colin Kaepernick, fuck Joy Reid, fuck Kevin Smith, fuck the Biden administration. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.